Welcome back to another edition of Fly Tying for Beginners with Jim Misiura. Today we're going to tie an old pattern, but the old ones are good ones. That's why they're around still, but this is the Breadcrust. Now this is a soft hackle, you can call it, but it would be a wet fly. And first thing I'm going to do, since I want to use this, I'm actually going to probably use this during a sulfur hatch, and I want to get this in the middle of the water column. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of weight to it, and this is 10 thousandths lead-free wire, and we're going to go ahead and put on about, I don't know, about 10 wraps, I guess. Break that off. Oop, didn't come off. There we go. Now, when you weight a hook, no bead, when you weight a hook, if you put the weight towards the back, it's going to ride with the head up, and if you put the weight towards the front, it's going to make that head dip down. So I'm going to keep that closer to the back. I want it to look like a sulfur that is emerging. I'm going to use black thread. We're going to get that base of thread down. Now when we get to the lead itself, we want to hold it in place so that we don't push it too far back. And that one is sliding. Let me back that off there a bit. Let me use this finger. There we go. Then we get to the back, and we can adjust it a little bit depending on how tight you wrapped it in the front. So I have the weight mostly in the back, or you could say it's in the back. Now we're going to put two different ribs on there, and one of them is going to be a gold wire. And this gold wire is a little heavier. I can't just break it. So what I'm going to do is take nail clippers and just cut it. It goes through like butter, doesn't hurt the nail clippers. We're going to tie that on. I tend to leave the tags on ribs. I tend to leave them longer. Just gives it a little bit extra weight, and very little. Now the second rib that we're going to put on is a brown hackle stem, and here I have one here. I don't even have to peel the barbels off. I could still use those for tails, but here's the hackle stem. And the color of hackle stems, they say a brown hackle stem. This is a brown hackle, so we take the barbels off, and that it's not going to be brown all around. It usually turns white where you remove the barbels from. But just like the good example is a blue dun, really isn't blue, it's gray. Fly fishermen, when you're talking colors and stuff like that, it's a little weirder. But we're going to attach that rib. And this is actually a pretty easy fly. I'm going to turn it over so I can get my dubbing in there. And the dubbing you want is orange dubbing, but I'm going to have I took my sulfur orange and I mixed some tan in with it. So I'm going to use that. And I'm going to stretch this dubbing out. Remember, you can always add more dubbing, so don't overdo it. We're going to go ahead and wrap this. Just keep it this way so I can see the point of the hook. There we go. There's a couple hackle fibers, barbels got mixed in with the in the mix. Just go ahead and trim that guy off. And that one. Now we're going to wrap our hackle stem. We're going to palmer that, meaning open spaces. Don't pull too hard. You don't need to keep this Superman tight, because we have a second rib going on, which is wire, and you could make that one very tight because it's not going to break. We're going to secure that. I'm going to fold it back, put a couple wraps in front. I'm going to go ahead and trim that off. Now we're going to take our second rib and we're going to wrap that the opposite direction, counter wrap it, and we're going to palmer that also. And you're basically going to have like little X patterns on your on the body. Bring that up, or diamond patterns. And just get that secured. And I'm going to use my nail clipper once again to remove that. I left a little bit too much there. I'll just fold that in. Now for the hackle, they want to see a hen hackle on there, but that mostly means you want a soft hackle on there. So I'm going to take, I don't have a hen hackle, Grizzly hen hackle. So basically what I'm going to take is the real soft stuff from my saddle hackle here. And let me find one good one that's about the right size. Here we go. I'm going to take this, and those ones on the end are obviously way too big. I'm going to bring it down around where the size will be. Good. Right there is good. I'm going to go ahead and give that the crew cut. And you only need, you don't, in this instance, we're only giving it the crew cut so that when we go to wrap it, it doesn't pull out of the thread. So you don't need a lot of the crew cut barbels. Now I'm going to, oh, I dropped it. Going to tie this on, and we're going to put it with the concave side to the shaft, to the shank. And that will help the barbels to go towards the rear. Not saying that they're going to stay there very well, but it's going to help them go to the rear. Now I'm going to take the hackle, I'm going to put my hackle pliers on there, and hopefully it won't break. And we'll go ahead and wrap this. And these are soft hackle, although they're standing up, and they're definitely not going to float the fly because of all the lead that I put on. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this in. I'm going to fold my hackle back, and I'm going to come back on it just slightly, one thread wrap, so that the hackles will go towards the rear there a little bit. Break that one off. Now, if you need to, you can take your bodkin needle and just give it one double half hitch, just to kind of push those hackles back just a little bit more. That wasn't great, but they're already going towards the rear. Now we're going to take our half hitch tool, put the hook over the thread, around the camel hump, bring it back, invert your whip finisher, you have an X there, you bring that down to the shank, and then just rotate your whip finisher 3 to 6 times. Snug that up. Take your poke and snip cuticle trimmer, trim that off, and we can put some head cement on there. Clean that brush off pretty good. And we're gonna, there we go. Don't need a lot of head cement. And here we have the Breadcrust Hope that you learned something from this video. Hope that you would subscribe to my channel. Please refer me to your friends. Please visit my sponsors and let them know I sent you. If you'd like to purchase any flies that I make, go to etsy.com/shop/theflymanjim. And if you don't see it, just send me a message. Tell me what you're looking for and we'll figure things out. And most of all, thank you very much for watching my videos.